Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about the issues that affect the customer experience at your store. Whether it's the front of the store or the back of the store, doesn't really matter. The better experience they have, the more they come back to you for everything they need when they need it. And they'll bring their entire tribe, the people they work with, their family members, people they go to church with, everybody. That's the name of the game. And I'm very fortunate. I have a great network of friends and colleagues that come on here when we do the show to share what they do or what they've done to improve the customer experience at their stores with real actionable items that you can use tomorrow to improve the situation in your store. And I just realized here with StreamYard, I haven't been too happy with the platform. Overall, it's good, but I just noticed here, it says it looks like the stream was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new one. Well, I never deleted it. So I got some other issues going on. I'm not happy with StreamYard. So if anybody has a connection with that company, please reach out to me because I could definitely use some help there. And this week, I have my good friend and brother from another mother, Sher, with us. And Stan is an automotive veteran. He knows a lot about the business. And, unlike a lot of people that spend a lot of time writing about it or hanging out in different venues, Stan's actually out there every day, every week in store, working with dealers. So welcome to the show, Stan.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background for those that may not know you, and then we'll jump right into it.
All right. So I'm in my 22nd and a half year, half just because we're in the summer. Started in January of 2003. I'm in my 22nd and a half year of working in this industry. I started out selling Hondas as a 20-year-old kid, while going to college to be a school teacher, and made a career, became a manager by 23. And then by 28, I started my consulting firm, Dealer eTraining. Made a lot of waves in the industry with BDC, internet sales marketing, and sat in a lot of roles in dealerships, and been consulting and training ever since. Last couple of years, I've been working with a couple of OEMs, worked with Hyundai, currently serving Ford on an OEM project for guest experience. I also have an outsourced BDC of my own. So I get really involved in a lot. I've written a book. I'm writing another book right now, speaking at some events, and just love what I do.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, Stan. I didn't know you went to school to become a teacher.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then in the midst of it, I took a job selling cars. Sold 2 cars in my first day. Made $1,000. Never looked back. It's like never made that kind of money before.
It's amazing how many people just get into our business just by chance, right?
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, it's like 5 years later, you're sitting at the desk and you're reflecting on the last 5 years, and in the blink of an eye, it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. I've been in this for 5 years now. And it just gets better and better and better every year. I just entered my 47th year this month in automotive. So I'm very excited about it. I get up in the morning like you, very happy and charged for the day, like it's my first day. So that's Larry Feldman says, good evening, Paul and Stan. Hello, Larry. Hey. And Jamie Alexander. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Jamie. All right. So there's a lot of talk today about the customer experience, like it's something new, right? Well, it's always been important since the first day I got into the business. And we're going to touch on several points here that a lot of people tend to overlook. And, you really have a couple of showrooms. Your website is your showroom. Your Google My Business page is your showroom. And that glass building that you walk into is your showroom. And you never really know who's going to come through which door first. So it's important that we put our best foot forward in all of them. And the first one I want to start with is your website. Right? Does it convert, or is it just designed to look good? Hey, John Gottschalk says, hey, Paul, how you doing, John? So, a lot of websites you go on, it tends to be a struggle. And I think the stats are somewhere around 70% of people will bail on a website and buy something completely different if they don't have the type experience that they're looking for. Right? It shouldn't be a mystery. What are some of the things that you see out there that are either good or annoying?
I see just too much clutter, and it's been like that for over a decade. Just too many things, too many vendors still want to sell you stuff to help you generate more leads. I do get aggravated. Sometimes I'll go shop for a vehicle online. I'll go look at something, and then I just get aggravated with how many things pop up. And I'm in the newer school of thought, whereas if it's taking me too long, if it's a difficult process, I want out. And so it's between digital retail tools, between coupons. There's still dealerships that still put $500 coupons on to try to generate a lead. Everybody still wants to focus on leads more than they want to focus on the actual transaction, the actual deal. We're going to send you 10 deals this month. Well, we don't want deals. We want appointments. And it's all about the lead. Everybody wants to work things their way.
To your point about the pop-ups, there are many websites that I go on. It seems like every page you go on, that same pop-up comes back up. John Jotstrock says he hates pop-ups. You know what? So does everybody that goes on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And oftentimes there are multiple pop-ups.
It's aggravating. I don't know either.
What about what about other things that you see? Today's price or internet price.
Yeah, there's internet price. There's some that disclose fees, or some that don't. You go to the New York, New Jersey market. You got a lot of dealers that advertise one way, below, and then you come in and it's $5,000 more. There's a lot of that. A lot of dealers have done a better job with disclosing it, in the fine print, but not everybody looks at the fine print.
Right.
Again, it's all about, we just want to generate leads. But then everybody gets upset about the fact that nobody picks up the damn phone. It's like, yeah,
Right.
great. You get you 1,000 leads, but what's the point if nobody's picking up the phone? See, that's what I like about, lead engagement tools. That's what I like about AI and all those good tools, because, I just want to focus on a conversation, whether it's by text or if it's by phone. For me, it's all about that conversation. Leaving a million voice messages means nothing. Especially, most people won't even listen to your voice message, right? I do believe that when we're following up with leads, we need to be able to call, text, email, and then we should be able to call. I mean, especially if you use a program that has like an auto dialer or a dialing system, you should be able to call from more than one number and finally get somebody. I mean, some people, they get ashamed of it. Oh, I don't want to harass people. Well, guess what? You're getting harassed every day. I get harassed 50 times a day. People call me to sell me the same stuff from different phone numbers. So, you're competing against that in the marketplace. So you just have to have a better conversation.
And I'm a big believer that give them what they're looking for as fast and as well as you can give it to them. Because when I shop for a car, okay, because I help people buy cars. When I shop for cars, I get a lot of the same responses over and over. When can you come in, meet with the manager? Okay.
Yeah.
They don't want, or we're not going to give you our best price until you come in. Well, today you could mystery shop 30 dealers within 20 minutes with a simple copy and paste, right? So for me, it's very easy, because the ones that don't want to play, I start with my list. I just cross them off until I get to somebody that gives me what I want. Now, John brings up a good point here. He says, how about the chat window taking up the entire mobile site on your screen?
That's my biggest annoyance, by the way. I deal with it all the time. My biggest annoyance. Why? And it's like the websites are supposed to be designed to be mobile friendly, right? And a lot of them still aren't, if you really think about it. Because I think that's why that chat screen takes over, because I don't think the website is fully mobily optimized.
And I think if you give them what they're looking for right away, I think you earn the right to engage them in a phone call.
I agree.
Because more often than not, they're not going to get an answer. When they submit a lead that has, I'm looking for this year, make and model, this trim, this exterior, this interior, and what I get back, on those specific inquiries, I get back, hey, great choice. How did you find us? And what are you looking for? I want to verify what you're looking for. When can I call you, or what's the best number? That doesn't bring
Yeah.
any value.
Simple laziness, right? They get a lead, they see what's out. They don't look at the raw lead, right? You can look at the lead raw if you really dig deep in your CRMs. They don't look at the full details. They just see name, phone number. Maybe they see the vehicle, and that's, hey, when can you come in? 20-second conversation, and that's it. No objection handling, no personality. No proper way of asking for an appointment. Just without any given right. Just, hey, when can you come in? you know, or what is it? Your presence is your best leverage, right?
Right, right.
It's actually not a bad line, but you have to find a way to use it in the right scenario. I don't think that's the best scenario.
I think that, if a lead comes in and you give them all of the information they're looking for, maybe a couple of extra tidbits about, accolades that the car or the manufacturer has, things that are important that they may not be aware of, a short introduction video, maybe less 30 to 60 seconds. Hey, just want to give you a quick preview of the car that you inquired on. I have it ready to go for you. I can meet with you at this time or that time. That type of stuff, right? That gives you at least a foot in the door with getting them to want to engage with you. And Jamie says, absolutely, the easier and quicker it is to make contact, the better chance of building the relationship.
100% agree. 100% agree. And for me, it's all about relationships. It's all about striking up a conversation, getting to know the person. Things like, what is it about this vehicle that interests you? What are you currently driving? Set them up for an opportunity to maybe sell you their trade. Right? There's a lot of ways you can take that conversation, other than, hey, it's here. When can you come in? And it's funny because even like in my local market, right? I don't really do as much BDC training, and I don't really work with as many dealers doing BDC, right? And so I get a text message from a friend. He's opening up a used car point. He's like, hey, do you know any BDC reps? And I'm like, no. I'm like, the good ones that I know are probably managers by now, or for many years they're out of the business. And the other ones that I know, they're just retreads from 20 other dealerships. You want to hire the same
Right.
crap over and over again? Like, no, you're better off getting somebody fresh and just training them the right way.
Now, another issue I see too when I look at websites is too many calls to action or duplication of calls to action, right? You'll have two trade widgets from different trade companies on the same website.
It's and you ask them why. Well, they're different lead generating tools. This one generates me this many leads, and this one does this thing, and this one does that thing. Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and you're spending money on both of them, and sometimes you try to figure out well, why can't we just merge it and use one? Why can't we get rid of one, right? And there's always an excuse. Well, this one does this, and that one does that. It's ridiculous. It's all about the lead count for them. We just want more leads, and we want more appointments. We don't want deals. We want appointments.
The other interesting thing that I see, and I hear this across many different OEMs, okay? There are a lot of dealers that complain that the OEM mandated tool they use either doesn't work or isn't compatible with some of the software that they have in the store. Now, I look at things a little bit differently. There are stores that will buy only what has the blessing of the OEM because they get money, right? But what they don't realize is that sometimes to get that money, it costs you money. Right? If it doesn't work, or it doesn't work well, and it's going to add frustration to your customer's experience, is that really worthwhile having? I mean, I'd rather pay for something, maybe not get reimbursed, but know that everybody that goes on it is going to have a good experience. I'm going to capture that data. It's going to flow into my system. And when they come in, I can pick up right where they left off, as opposed to just worrying about, I have to make sure I get co-op.
Yeah, I go into some stores, they got two websites, right? One that's OEM mandated and one that they have because somebody chose higher up that they like this website more. It looks better, it's prettier, and they rather spend the $2,000 a month for that website because they don't like what's mandated. And they have two websites. And then sometimes when you go in and you look at for some of the tools, for instance, if you're with an OEM and you're trying to see if they're digital retail compliant, and you look at the website that they pay for extra, and it's got a whole other system because that just doesn't work for them. A lot of it is ego. A lot of them is what looks shinier. And you really can't tell which one produces more, except that you know that they spend a ton of money marketing that website that they pay extra money for. Makes no sense to me.
The other thing that's a deterrent is when you go on a website, there's no pictures or there's stock photos, right? In today's day and age, there's really no excuse to not have photos of every model that you have. And I hear a lot of times people complain, well, the car hasn't come in yet, so we haven't taken a picture. That's nonsense. There's a guy named Glenn Garvin who has a company called True Images.
Yep.
That basically they capture all of the photos, real photos. Hey, a blue SL is the same as another blue SL of the same color code, right?
Yes.
So that there's software that when a car comes in, even though it's not in yet, it's the same car with the same colors. There's a whole library. So there's no excuse to not to have photos.
I 100% agree, and especially for some independent stores, they'll just put a stock thing out there or not available yet. At least get one photo. The car comes in, just get one photo. Do a quick exterior wash, take a quick photo, and put it out in the notes that, hey, this vehicle just came in. It's going through conditioning, blah, 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 blah. But at least put something out there. Be human. Let people know what's going on.
Now, getting back to the digital retailing tool piece of it, customers today come to your website to find out whether or not you have something they want and whether or not they can afford it. Right? So
that's true.
You need to have an open tool where they're able to run the payments. Now, a lot of dealerships are they don't want to unlock the tool because they figure that gives the customer all the control. Well, but isn't it at list price that they have that tool unlocked?
Mm-hmm.
And all they're doing is they're altering term or down payment.
It's and again, it comes back to we don't want to work deals. We just want leads. They're using it as a lead generating software. We worked on a digital retailing project for a while, right? You see it all the time. They just want leads. They, God forbid or heaven forbid we work a deal and then bring the person in with a set deal. Here, pick up the vehicle. And I worked at a dealership years ago where we probably averaged 3 to 5 cars a month utilizing the tool. I think it's a great tool. I think if we stop and drop the fear of working deals over the phone, I think if we empowered our people to have a better conversation, they could do a good job with it. Most of our customers, they still don't know how to use the tool. It's confusing. They just got to put their information in. So we have to empower our BDC agents, our sales agents to do a better job having a communication. It's, hey, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, we could do it a couple of different ways. You could submit a request and we can make an appointment, a VIP appointment for you to come in. Or if you want, I'll expedite this for you. I have this digital retail tool, or however you want to call it, right? Or a modern retail tool, and let's work it real quick. And you can unlock it yourself. Well, I used to just unlock it myself and just start putting numbers in and talking down payment and everything. I mean, it's all right there. I would use it to get a commitment out of people. And,
right.
It came down to if I can, would you, right? And as much as it's an old school saying, utilizing that tool, if I can, when you come in to pick up the car, I'll be there tonight at 6:00. Great. Give me 10 minutes. I'm going to call you right back. I'm going to get right back with you. You go work the deal real quick and you come back. Great. We can make it happen. Get a deposit, get a credit app, utilize the tool and just move on rather than, play the art of teeth pulling.
And, the tool gives them the ability to do it all on their own.
Yes.
Correct. The customers they like booking hotels. They like booking rental cars all on their own, on their phone. It's very easy, right? It is what the market has established that they want. And they've told us for decades that's what they want. So if you have a digital retailing tool that is unlocked where the customer can run payments, okay, then and you have honest payments, honest terms, things they actually qualify for. Customers also, there's lots of data out there that shows that if you offer them after sale products, VSC or some of the other after sale items, with videos explaining what the benefit is to them, people aren't stupid. They can watch the video, they can see whether or not it adds value to them, and the data supports that people will buy more product if it's just offered to them. So
Correct.
the product, the videos that explains what's in it for them, they can see it on their own. And then, some testimonial videos, that's another great thing, or videos that show, what to expect the first time you come in for service. This is what you can expect when you come into the showroom. This is what you can expect when you come into the parts department. Things like that give people a glimpse into what's behind the curtain. Because basically, if you don't know what's around the corner, you're going to be apprehensive about proceeding forward. But if you know what's going to unfold because they show you, and you get a couple of testimonial videos, right? How many times you hear a dealer tell you, oh, people don't utilize the digital retailing tool. Nobody uses it. Well, you ask them, well, how do you promote it?
Yeah.
And the answer is, well, it's on my website.
Great.
That's not promoting.
But your website has 1 million widgets, so they're already confused. They're lost in the sauce, right? So yeah, it's on my website. Great, you should promote it outside your website. I've actually seen dealers promote it on billboards. Seen some good dealers that do that. I want to kind of take what you were just talking about, having those videos explaining what to expect, right? So I'm in a lot of Ford stores now, and I talk a lot about their CSI and their surveys, and as much as anybody, right, as well as anybody, that most salespeople, they don't do a good job of introducing their customer to service at delivery, right? I would say 90% of the time nobody does it. I always ask that question. We don't do it. Well, and I go, well, how come? Why don't you do it? Well, because usually they're really busy, or usually it's after hours and they're closed. So I say, well, how about this? How about if we took each service advisor, got their business cards, and got a 30-second video of each one of them explaining, introducing themselves, right? And having it on your iPad or your phone or your desktop, whatever you're using, right? And now think about this, right? What's our biggest challenge, right? F&I wait time, right? So we're trying to fill in the gaps, right, of how to give that customer perception that we were in 30 minutes or less, right? And so how do you do that, right? That's just another thing that you could do. You get the customer up, you walk them over. This is where you're going to bring your vehicle. This is where you're going to the service drive. This is where the service advisors are. You notice Ann here, she's really busy right now, but I'm going to show you a quick video so that you can watch about 30 to 60 seconds. So you get an introduction. You can put a face to the name, right? I bring this up to a lot of dealerships. I got half the people that are like, oh, that's a good idea. I got another half of the people that say, well, I would never get on video. And my issue with that is, well, for me, you just would never work for me, because in the new age, if you want to work for me, you have to be video centric.
Right. People will watch a video. So if you can either introduce them to them in person, or you can show them the video, and then as soon as they go over the curb, send them the video. Hey, thanks a lot for purchasing the car from us. I just want to show you what to expect the first time you come in for service. And then before they come in that first time, you confirm the appointments, include that video in with the appointment confirmation. So now basically they've seen it or heard it 3 times before they even come in. So now when they come in, they know they're going to pull up to the door. The door is going to go swoosh, pull in, go to the end, and sit in your car, and the advisor will be with you within whatever time you specify, right? Because if you go into a store now, you can watch a car pull into the drive, look at your watch, between 60 and 90 seconds later, they get out of the car and they're walking around like this. They have no idea where to go. So if you tell them what's going to happen, and then you deliver on that promise, the first time they go in, wow, they told me this was going to happen, and this is exactly what's going to happen. And that's how the trust begins, and you build on that each time they come in. Let me just go to a couple of comments. Jamie Alexander, so true. We assume our customer knows or should know. Why do we get agitated with educating the guests? Offering products that protect their future costs is a huge benefit and a great retention tool. with cars being on the road longer now than they've ever been, I think it's over 12 years on average. I don't know. I'd want to start my experience off on the right foot. John Gottschalk says it's a great idea. And Jamie says, when I sold cars, I would walk them to the service and schedule their first oil change appointment and introduce them to the service and parts departments.
So
Right?
I want to add something. I'm sorry. I wanted to add something. Jamie asked, why did they get agitated? So, I'm doing these immersions for guest experience, right? And one of the courses I teach is communication skills, communication excellence. And, there's the core attributes of communication skills. There's active listening, there's empathy, there's adaptability, there's question and clarify. And what I find with car people, and I used to be guilty of this too, is the longer we do this, the less empathy we have. And not having the empathy piece of it is why we get agitated, right? And I was in a dealership, service advisor. She's like, I've been here 10 years. I lack empathy. I got beat up like a punching bag for too long, and I just don't care anymore. That was the response, right? And so, because we do get abused by customers sometimes, the real world scenario, but we have to be able to approach everything with empathy. And so, like I said, I find over 90% of the people that I coach and train, they lack empathy. Some people are better at questioning and clarifying. Those are usually the good closers. Some people are good at adapting to people. They're usually the customer advocates, right? Then you have very few, but there are quite some that are good at active listening. But you uncover that a lot when we facilitate these discussions. But empathy is the reason why we feel naturally agitated to do our jobs.
So that's really the responsibility of management.
Yes.
To take the temperature of the department and continually coach that. For an advisor to tell you that, I mean, on the one hand, wow, there's some self-reflection going on there that is not really something that we're very good at in automotive. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
So here's somebody that's admitting to that, but yet it's allowed to continue instead of somebody nipping it in the bud and kind of figuring out what is it that we need to do in order to kind of change this person's attitude.
We need therapy sessions with a coach that can sit back for 2 hours and break you out of your normal everyday comfort zone and have that discussion and role play and do some coaching and really get you thinking, asking the right question. That's what I do. It's what you do, right? That's our day jobs, right? So, but yeah, I think that we need to, as coaches, and that's why we have our jobs, why we have our careers. As coaches, we need to dig deep with those questions and really get people thinking. And at the end of it, it's like, oh wow, I never really thought about this. Like, it's a good experience. That's what I enjoy doing. That's why I like what I do.
There's a tremendous value in bringing somebody in from the outside, right? Because when you work with people 40, 60, 70 hours a week for God only knows how many years, there's a comfort level that kind of squashes your ability to motivate them sometimes, right? When you bring in somebody from the outside that doesn't work for the store, and there's no agenda other than the agenda of the meeting, of course.
Yeah.
But there's no hidden agenda. You're able to uncover things that oftentimes in the store they don't. I've gone into stores where there were issues stated that turned out to be issues with management, not so much with the employees. But nobody took the time to talk to these people to find out. We got a couple of comments here. Jamie says 100% empathy and humility is imperative. That to me sounds like culture from the top. And our good buddy Sean Armour, good evening from Illinois, boys.
Hey, hopefully I
He's
see
going
him
to be in Chicago next week. 3.5 hours from where I'm going to be.
Hey, he's going to be in Jersey this week. Hopefully I can see him on Thursday. We got to catch up later.
Your event.
I'm not going to be at that event, but he's going to be there.
Ah, okay. John Gottschalk says exactly. So I don't know why, it seems like training is the first thing to get cut. when that really should be the last thing to get cut. Because, with a lot of uncertainty today, and we don't know what the pricing is going to be, right? That seems to be like a ping pong ball that goes back and forth. I'm thinking training and building value, that should be the number one thing that should be on the dealer's list, right? Not looking to cut something like that. Now, as far as a little bit about lead handling, there's technology out there today. There are AI agents. There are smart bots. There's technology that they can use. And you'd be surprised how many times you'll send in a lead and I won't get a response until 1, 2, sometimes 3 days later, right? Customer sends in a response, a lead, they want a response in 5 minutes. I don't know what's so hard about that, especially when you have AI today that can respond quickly, and an AI agent, you don't know, are you talking to a human being or are you talking to a machine? I just lost your audio, Stan. No audio.
That's weird.
Oh, you're back.
That's interesting. Lead handling. So, I used to be that guy that would set up my CRM with a million email templates and stories. What, you can't hear me again?
No,
Okay.
John, he's got to get on a plane to Phoenix.
Safe travels.
Continue the great conversation, guys.
Thank
Safe
you.
travel, John.
Well, I used to be big on email templates and, having, 90-day follow-up plans and all that good stuff. And then AI kind of changed my thought process. Matter of fact, last year, I got to run a dealership for a little bit and I put AI in. And I put AI in as CDK and e-leads and all that went away, right? We were down for a month and we sold double the cars not having e-leads because we used AI and we embraced it. We knew when we should call the customer. We knew when to respond. We had leads being answered overnight. A lot of leads get handled overnight, and AI does a good job of that. And I learned that you don't really need to rely on email templates as much. I think it's kind of foolish. I still have dealers that say, hey, I want templates. Okay, great. You want templates? I get to the point where I just give them what they want because sometimes you can't fix the madness, right? But no problems. But so in my situation, what I've realized is, and I did this a lot. I was in a very prominent store 2 months ago in Florida, and they use iPacket, and I think iPacket is probably really the only thing that you need to merge with your CRM, because at the end of the day, a lead comes in, AI responds, you make your phone call, you can send an iPacket. The only thing that I recommend adding to that iPacket email template is asking an engaging question, because we know that to continue a conversation, you have to ask a question. If you just say something and you send it out, you're never hearing back from them. But when you ask a question, you're expecting a response back. You're more than likely to get a response. So that's one of the things that I've been working on is with iPacket, is being able to just have a couple of simple templates, send an iPacket, because that gives you all the details that you need.
Everything.
And then you just ask a couple of engaging questions and move on. And then you keep the conversation going. And then you get your appointment. And then you get them in the door. And then you sell them a car.
It's amazing how well a product like that works. Years ago, before there was any kind of product like that, I kind of did my own in-house. So that when somebody came in, I had copies of all the ROs that we did to the car.
Yep.
Okay. I had a Carfax. I had everything. I had my own little package that I would either send to, people that inquired online about a particular car, or when they came in to the store, right? The amount of confidence that inspired in people, amazing. Because, and you play on that too, because a lot of places take in cars, they spit shine the outside, they change the oil, and that's about it. 9 months later, you're finding yourself needing $600-700 worth of brake work or tires, things like that. And I would play on that. I'd say, hey, listen, these are all the repairs we've done. We've spent X amount of dollars on this car so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
All right. You go to a lot of different places. You've shopped a lot of places. How many people that you've gone to prior to coming into my store have shown you everything they've done to that car? And the customer would always look at me like, actually you're the first.
Yeah. Transparent store. I bought a car. Wow, exactly a month ago. It's the 13th. And they showed me everything. They showed me all the ROs. They ran it through service that day. They just got the vehicle in and $1,200 in service. They showed me, we got you a new key. We did this, we did that. Carfax shows that this stuff was done to the car. We don't believe it. We did it again. No big deal. It's worth it. I was willing to pay for that.
Peace of mind people will pay more money for. If they trust you and they like you, they'll pay more money. It's not rocket science. Sean says, unfortunately, AI does a great job at stopping the clock, but fails to properly qualify the lead. We are not there yet, and the process still requires a human.
100% agree.
Yep, I agree with that. But there are some systems that are pretty damn good, Stan.
They're getting better. They're getting better.
You don't know whether or not you're talking to.
I've still seen AI send out a foolish question, at the wrong moment. It does happen. We do need to. It's still a tool that we still need to manage.
Buying a vehicle remains an emotional experience and requires this approach. Yeah, no, for sure. Another thing that I'm a big proponent of is customers shop around the clock.
Yes.
And I'm not suggesting we have people that work around the clock, but there are those individuals in our stores that wouldn't mind responding to a lead in the middle of the night. And since this is all trackable, you can compensate them for it, right? I'd get a lead at 2 a.m. I'd hear the phone ding. I'd wake up. I'd grab my phone. I would have stuff already in my phone that basically I copy and paste and I respond at 2 a.m. You'd be amazed at the number of times an email response would come back. Wait a minute. It's 2:30 in the morning. You guys are open? And I would respond, it's the internet. We're always open.
Yep.
What time can you be here tomorrow morning? I'd make appointments at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I put the phone back down. I go to sleep. But we're, the people that work in stores today don't necessarily want to work beyond 5 o'clock. They want to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They don't want to make phone calls in sales. As crazy as that sounds. But if you can find those people in store that are willing to do that kind of service, which is above and beyond, they'll make more money. The customer will be happy because they're getting responded to the way they want to. And like I said, everything is tracked with a timestamp, so you can compensate those people. Nobody's saying to do it for free. You can compensate those people that are willing to accommodate that kind of need on the customer side of things.
I agree. I used to do it. 2005. I was doing it 3 o'clock in the morning. I was working in a non-Asian store at home. We had a web-based CRM, and I was doing it. I was responding to people. I was trying to use back in the day, I had a T-Mobile Sidekick. Remember those? I used to try to use that to go on the internet and do stuff. It was very hard. They would always crash on me, but that's what I was trying to do. I was always trying to be mobile in 05.
Now, getting back to the digital retailing tool piece of it, right? If you can have a couple of customers and you can coach them through using it and telling them how they benefit by doing that, I think it would be pretty cool if you had a video from that customer that say, hey, I've been shopping for a car. I decided to buy my car here because they made it easy for me. I was able to use their online tool to calculate payments to make sure that I understood that whether or not I could afford the car. And I was able to submit the application, get approval, all before I even came into the store, right? You get that kind of short testimonial video so that now and you can leverage that. So when a lead comes in, thanks for your inquiry, answer all their questions. We have this car. It's ready to go as of 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Our goal is to make it easy for you. You do this every few years. We do this every day. But don't take our word for it. This is what Sally Jones had to say. And you have a video of her with her face or Bob Jones's face right? On video that they can click, very short, that tells them exactly how that customer benefited.
Social
How
proof.
much more utilization do you think you'll get after something like that?
100% social proof. You need to be able to show your customers real time in action using it, and just yeah, social proof, video testimonials.
I think that video is very much underutilized. It seems as though, and I did a poll on this not that long ago, and I asked the question, creating video at the store level, are we doing it to become internet stars and entertain other salespeople? Or are we doing it for actual customer benefit? And while everyone agreed that it needs to be done for actual customer benefit, the reality is it's not. Most of the videos, it's like everybody wants to be an internet star. They want to start their own comedy channel, and they really create content to educate, entertain other dealerships over creating content with customers for customers. If you saw your friend on video, Stan, would you watch the video?
Yeah, I would, but I gotta say, going into the, doing this for entertainment, right? Not only is it, in my opinion, it's to entertain other dealers, but I also think that I've seen some videos with negative stigmas. I think that we're shooting ourselves in the foot by putting stuff out there, because we're literally letting the customer know all the negatives of our business, which
Right.
further makes us look bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
When they could be leveraging their best customers, which are a trusted source, to get more customers. People that create video content, people notice it, right? You heard of the 80-20 rule?
Yes.
95-5 is the new 80-20.
Sounds right.
People watch the video.
They do.
I went to the post office the other day to drop off some some of the orders that had come in.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady, big smile on her face, and she points to me. She says, "Hey, you're the food guy."
Yeah.
Imagine all of these customers that create content, putting content out there in your dealership about what they love about coming to your dealership.
I agree. We need to get back to putting customers on video as opposed to ourselves with nonsense. I mean, it's just a little crazy out there. It's actually one of the things I tried to show you yesterday. I know you said you're not on TikTok, but it was a sales manager berating his sales team in a meeting. And it was a skit, but he was literally beating up on his one guy came in late, and he like jumps over. And I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, why are we putting that out there?
Exactly.
47,000 views.
We have a bad perception of the car business, throughout the population, right? Why would they even put something like that out there? It doesn't help anybody.
And I am curious to see how many leads it actually generates.
You know what's funny too? A lot of people watch these videos, mostly other people in the car business.
Yeah.
Because
It's entertaining.
I saw somebody, they were boasting about how many views their video got. And they didn't say what the platform was.
Yeah.
And I commented in, "Oh, it sounds like a TikTok video." And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was a TikTok video." Gee, how did I know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it's interesting. That's the world we live in.
So we like to do everything on our own. When I come into the store, then I don't know if you've seen it. I know I've seen it a few times. It's like you're starting at square one.
Yeah.
All the stuff
All the
I put
time.
in, nobody looks at, and they want to bring me back to step one of their 7 or 10 step process.
Yep, every single time. You make an appointment, you go through everything, and then you come in and nobody checks the notes in their CRM, and they start asking the same questions again. And been trying to train dealers over the years, to bridge the gap, right? And it's still tough. I actually work with a couple that do a good job with it. That they set all the expectations up front, and when the customer comes in, they do look at their notes. But that's a culture. That starts from the top. CRM culture.
There's nothing more frustrating than having to explain it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because they've already taken the time to do all that, all right?
What car are you here for? Instead of having the car pulled up, just ready to go. Here, I got the keys. Let me just scan your license, make sure we're good, and we'll show you the vehicle. No, what are you looking for again? And then they let them sit there and marinate while they go spend 30 minutes looking for the car. It still happens. Now, I get it. There's dealerships that are landlocked. It's almost impossible to do. But it's still a good practice. I worked at a store. You visited me at that store years ago where every time an appointment was there, the car was outside ready to go.
Another thing that I see frustrations with is the amount of time that customers wait for cars, right? To your point, you had the car ready to go, but a lot of times there is no car ready to go, right? A brand new model of this trim level is going to drive exactly the same as another one, right?
Yeah.
They don't need to drive a red one to see what it feels like. They don't need to drive a black one or a blue one. They just need to have the sample of cars that you sell ready to go with gas in them.
Yeah.
In a specific place where they're easy to test drive. Especially now. Right? Especially now when we're in the summertime, it gets hot. How many times do you see the salesperson's out there looking for a particular car, the customer's in tow, he finds the car, it's buried in behind another car, leaves the customer outside waiting while he runs back to get the key to move the car that's blocking in the car they want to drive.
Yeah.
And then to add insult to injury, after he moves that car and he goes to get in the car that they want to drive, click, the battery's dead.
Yeah. Oh, I've been through that. Customer leaves 45 minutes they leave. Now they have they don't trust you because now they think you sell broken vehicles because the battery's gone. That's their perception, right? And then they leave you a battery of you came in, wasted 45 minutes. The battery was dead. What kind of crap is this dealership selling? I've been through that. Oh my God, I've been through that. It's brutal.
They look at their watch like, oh, you know what? I can't believe it's gotten this late. Listen, we got to go, but we'll come back.
Yeah.
And when do they come back?
Never.
The 5th of never. They never come back. Right.
Yeah. And meanwhile, and if you have a store that can set those expectations up, first I'll have the car ready. And also, you're in the BDC making an appointment. By the way, when you arrive, we have our list of our 10 vehicles out there. We have one of each model. So it's not going to be the exact one that you're looking for. We can customize your options after, but at least for test drive purposes, we'll have one ready for you to go. Set the expectations right there, and another way, and I teach this in Ford Guest Experience, but I also teach this to my outsourced BDC reps. They're in the Philippines, right? So when I tell them to say something, they become like robots sometimes, right? And that's a beautiful thing because one thing that I do for increasing appointment shows and for delivering a great customer experience is after they set the appointment, we always like to ask, by the way, when you arrive to the dealership, do you prefer water, coffee, or tea? And they get the customer to say what they want. How do you like your coffee? And then, great, when you arrive, we're going to make sure that our sales consultant gets you your coffee. And we even put in the CRM notes. It was kind of funny, being that we're outsourced. It's funny seeing in the notes, customer prefers coffee with cream and sugar. It's kind of, I was watching, I was like, this is kind of cool. And I just think it's another way of making people feel more welcome, more of a genuine approach. Yeah, I think it's another way of reaffirming the appointment. I think it's getting a bigger and better commitment from your customer. Now they're coming in for a cup of coffee, not just to talk about cars.
And you want to know something funny? In all the shopping I've done, Nobody's ever offered that to me.
Nobody. And I talk a lot about it, and I don't think a lot of people are implementing it.
And they've all got the machines, right?
Yep. The fancy Starbucks machine. Yeah.
So set up the visit, have respect for the customer's time when they come in so that you're able to get them into the car to make sure they like it. Most of the work is already done. They know whether or not they can afford it. In some cases, they will have already gotten a pre-approval because they will have sent in a credit application.
Mm-hmm.
They will have gotten approved and ready to go. So the car sale takes 3-4 hours, depending on where you go, even after somebody has done all the work before coming into the store. So if we can shrink that time, we have better respect for the customer time. Now we can make the sale faster. And then depending on the volume of the store, the F&I department, you said earlier, one of the issues that customers are uncomfortable or they complain is the amount of time that it takes to get into F&I. I say don't stop for anything. Keep the ball rolling, right?
Yep.
Depending on how many F&I people you have and how backed up you are, you still have to do other things. You have to set up their phone. You have to sign them up for XM or whatever the trial period is. So rather than say, hey, we just have to wait for F&I now, at that point, the clock starts ticking. Said, you know what, okay, so now that the car purchase is done, there's some paperwork that we need to do. We're going to get to that in a little bit. If I know I'm 2 deep or 3 deep in F&I, we're going to get to that in a little bit. But to have respect for your time, we're going to keep going. I need to set up your XM radio. I need to do this. I want to show you the features of the vehicle. Make sure that your phone is set up. All the personalized settings are done. There's a chance we may be interrupted for you to do the paperwork while we're doing that. Our goal is to have you wait this much time, right? So
Correct.
now everybody, the management knows I'm third in the queue, but I haven't stopped. I'm showing the customer, I'm continuing to work with them. When it's time, when they have time to bring them into F&I, F&I person comes out, hey, Stan, can I borrow these folks for a few minutes? I need them for a few minutes. Great. Now they go with the F&I person. Mm-hmm. They do the paperwork. They haven't waited for anything.
Yeah, we're the ones that create the wait by just letting them sit there, by not finding things to do. That's why have them watch a video. There's a Lexus store in Lexus Manhattan. I remember years ago I went in there. They even have they did back then. They had a TV that as the customer sitting there, they're engaged watching it, talking about all the back end products, right? Giving them kind of what we talked about earlier. There's actual TV sitting there. Your goal is to keep them entertained, keep them engaged. The minute you lose engagement, that's when the wait time starts.
Done. Yeah. So now they get the survey. They bag you every time. And another part of personalization, when I worked at Lexus, every person got a dozen roses when they picked up their new car.
Yes. Yeah, my dad worked at a store. He bought a vehicle. They sent us one of those trees. Those little in-home trees, right? It's something. When I got my last Lexus, I got stuff for my Easy Pass. I got coffee mugs, right? And I would say that it's a culture that doesn't just serve guests, right? Think about how we onboard people, right? We got to treat them as guests too.
Right.
Germain Toyota, I was there. I got to spend some time. They have a really great onboarding thing. They have a welcome kit box where they send the Friday before the Monday that you start, they send out a box with a letter from the department head, right? There's a Yeti mug and then there's 2 uniforms, and it's all about personalization. I think that you have to, from the top, you have to treat your staff, you want to make them feel more welcome, right? I'm doing this Ford thing right now, right? When we had our T3, they put us through this whole immersion for a whole week, right? They treated us like guests, from how they fed us to all the gifts they gave us, right? Why did they do that? Because they wanted to have us experience it so that we can be more enthusiastic when we go out and we train this and coach this to dealers, right? So it's the same thing. You have to build your team in the same way that you want them to treat your customers and your guests.
Right. That's a whole nother meeting altogether, because you can't have good customer experience without good employee experience.
I agree.
I
agree.
Mike Vogel, I see on LinkedIn, it shows as LinkedIn user. However, on LinkedIn on my phone, it shows as Mike Vogel. So I don't think they're ever going to resolve that. StreamYard says it's a LinkedIn issue. LinkedIn says it's a StreamYard issue. I don't think that's ever going to be solved.
It's a finger pointing issue.
Yeah, it's like this. Right? You ever see that? It's like when you go into a store, you're looking for a particular manager because you're there, you're cold calling a store. You know what that person looks like, but to be polite, you ask for them by name. Yeah. And you see, how many times have you seen people like this? It's that guy. I said, no, it's not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm one of you. It's you. I know who you are. It's you. You're the one I'm looking for. I was just being polite.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So make the F&I process easier. Get them out the door, introduce them to the service department, and then follow up. The lost art of following up, contacting your customer that just dropped 40, 50, 60 large or more. People don't want to follow up. I had a customer, I called this lady religiously. I had my follow-up cadence. For 3 years, I have been leaving messages on her voicemail. Not once did she call me back. One Saturday, she shows up. I said, "Why? Hey, you're alive." I said, "I've been speaking with your machine for the last 3 years now." And she said to me, she says, "I got all your calls. I really appreciate your follow-up. There was never anything wrong, and I'm really busy. So for me, there really was no need to call you back. But because you were as thorough as you were in calling me, that's why I'm back to get another car from you right now." Right?
I had a couple of those in my day.
People, unless you get instant gratification, they give up too quickly. But you don't know how long things take. Right? I told you before we got on the call here. I had a guy reach out to me, saw me on a podcast a few years ago. You have to continue to do the right things. And with car sales, that's really easy, because as a salesperson, you build your book of business by happy customers, one at a time. I have so many people in my phone that reach out to me first for anything and everything car related. I've had people buy different makes they didn't know anything about. All they knew was I would take care of them and I would guide them through the process. So those are a couple of ways. Those are some of the ways where you can improve the customer experience for your customers and build a lifetime book of business. We have people that buy products from our yarn store that I met in food groups. I met in the car business. You just never know. The common denominator in all of this is people. And if you treat them right, they will continue to come back to you every single time. You lost your audio again, Stan.
You can't hear me? Really?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
I didn't press anything.
The hour comes really quick, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here tonight. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to have a training program, an accountability program in our stores that you almost come in almost like a shrink sometimes, right? Just to ask questions, but really to just get a pulse of people and really just bring some of these practices. And then the accountability is making sure every week that people are doing it. Hey, did you do this with this customer? Right? It's important to just keep our people accountable, but it starts from the top. And it's amazing how some dealerships will embrace it and some won't. And I've seen it. I mean, I got some stores that are great stores, and I got some stores that are not so great stores because it's all ego, right? They don't care about the experience. They just care about making money. But I think it really comes down to just building a culture And it starts with how you bring your people on board, and then from there it's constant coaching, finding ways, having these debrief meetings of your surveys, right? If you're, when I used to work for Honda, I was a Honda Excel facilitator in store. Every 2 weeks we would sit down and have a meeting going through our surveys, and every time we found a problem we would find a way to fix it, right? And I feel like there's not enough of that going on in stores today. And that's important. Whatever it costs, think about how much money it costs you in CSI, right? To have one person manage that in the store, it's important.
You don't know sometimes all of the businesses that you lose.
Yeah.
So if you're not connected to Stan or I, by all means, if it's relevant that we connect, do so.
Sure.
Stan's a great guy. I recommend him highly. He's somebody that's in store every day. Not somebody writing about it, not somebody talking about it, somebody actually doing something about it. So Stan's a good guy to reach out to if you haven't already connected, and I recommend his services highly. Stan, stay on after we go off here for a couple of minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for watching. To those that watched it live and to those that watch it on the replay, thank you. I hope you have a safe and successful next week, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.